ain't quite got all the way out the bed, but the Lord dropped this in my spirit. And so I want to share this to my ones that are preparing for marriage, or the ones who are, contemplating marriages. I've been getting a few emails from some premarital couples who are interested in doing premarital sessions, and I'm not sure if they found me on Google or if they found me on Instagram, but I want to get on today and emphasize this. Before you marry, you may want to consider these things. I am not just a regular premarital teacher. And yes, I do come from a biblical perspective. However, me coming from a biblical perspective, I'm not going to just sit there and just preach to you. I will give you practical, different ways about marriage. But I want you to know first and foremost that I am I'm a Bible teacher. And so I cannot teach you or share with you about marriage without first teaching you and sharing to you about God, because God is the whole reason for marriage. And a lot of people don't know that. So marriage is not just about you as husband and wife. Marriage is about you representing God here on earth. Why do I teach salvation? By having faith in Jesus, Christians believe that we receive God's grace. This means that God has blessed them. In turn, they give strength to live a good Christian, healthy life. Ultimately, salvation from sin was the purpose of Jesus' death. So this is why I teach salvation. This is one of the reasons why I teach salvations. All right. Why do I teach salvation to my spouses and my clients? One of the reasons I teach salvations to my spouses and my clients, or the ones that I am coaching, is because a lot of times people are entering into the marital covenant blinded. They're entering into the marital covenant with this idea of marriage is me and my boo. We're going to live this happy ever after life. We got the big house, the white picket fence. We're going to do life as, this happy couple forever and a days. They do not come into the marital covenant with the understanding of marriage is a representation of Christ here on earth. Marriage is a representation of God and his people, the church, us as his bride, and God. That is what marriage is about. And so that is one of my main reasons why I emphasize to couples who are preparing to go into the marital covenant. Do not think you're going into the marital covenant to live this happy ever after life. You are going into the marital covenant to prepare for your mission, your assignment, your journey as a couple on what it is that you're supposed to do and how you represent Christ here on earth. All right. The Bible makes it clear that marriage is an institution decreed by God, and an institution meant to glorify God by displaying something about him on earth. The great mystery of marriage is the covenant relationship between a husband and a wife, and is a portrait of the covenant relationship of Christ and his church. Kind of like what I just said. So marriage is biblical, and it is similar to salvation. Salvation is a relationship through God, Jesus Christ, as a close relationship. Marriage helps us to see what a relationship is all about, to understand how to be other-centered instead of self-centered in a relationship. A godly husband's love for his wife can help him picture Christ's love for his church. Marriage is not about just a husband and wife. Marriage is a picture of God and his bride. Marriage is a picture of God and his church. Marriage is not just about husband and wife coming together, having kids, going to the movies, sleeping in the bed all day, doing family trips. All those things are bonuses. The number one goal of marriage is for you to come here on earth and represent God here on earth. Which takes me to, I'm going to just jump fast forward all the way to, so when adultery takes place in a marital covenant, or when the marital covenant starts to fall or break down, the reason why that is such a critical, fragile area and needs to be assessed by God by you going to prayer, by you going to him and asking him, Lord, what would you have me to do in this situation? The reason that it's such a big deal, because just like salvation, once salvation is given to us, that's a gift that God has given to us. It doesn't change. It doesn't go anywhere. Once we get that it is what it is, it's a done deal. And God is saying, just like I am forgiven to you, just like I am, I show unconditional love to you. This is what I want you to show to your spouse. Marriage is not about the husband and wife. Marriage is about God and displaying God here on earth. And so I like to just highlight those things, because a lot of times people come into the marital covenant, the marital relationship, thinking that marriage is all about me and my boo. All right. Ephesians chapter 2 verses 8-9 says, for by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourself. It is a gift of God, not of your works, lest anyone should boast. 2 Corinthians 5:21 says, for he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of him, the righteousness of God in him. Salvation and marriage goes in hand to hand. You need to know about salvation before entering into the marital covenant. You need to go into the marital covenant as a saved whole couple. You do not want to enter into the marital covenant unsaved. And one of the reasons is that because marriage is a representation of God. God is salvation. God is marriage. So you do not want to go into the marital covenant not being saved, or not having an understanding of your salvation or what it means. Salvation is also deliverance and redemption. A lot of times couples come into the marital covenant and they still have some things that they have not been delivered from. They still are suffering from some things from the world. They still have some past traumas or some past things that they have been dealing with. And so salvation helps in that area as well. You don't want to go into a marital covenant all crumpled up, messed up, all combobulated. You don't want that. You don't want that. You want God's deliverance. You want the redemption of salvation going into your marital covenant. So I have a question for you. Have you spouses to be accepted Jesus Christ as your personal savior? If not, you are able to do that today. And I'm going to take you through some simple steps that you can do that too. Again, I've been a Sunday school teacher for many, many years. And so I always use the same ABC salvation little toolkit with my adults and like I use with the kids. It's very simple, very easy to remember. It's called the ABCs of salvation. All right. A, which stands for admit that you are a sinner. Admit that you are a sinner and you need Jesus Christ in your life. That comes from Romans 3:23, which says, for we all have sinned and fallen short of God's glory. Admit that you are a sinner. Admit that you are a sinner and that you need Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior. B, which means believe. Believe that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. And that comes from John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. It is not God's will for any man to perish, but for all to have everlasting life. And then C, confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. Confess that Jesus Christ is Lord and you shall be saved. Romans 10:13 says, for everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Listen, spouses and spouses to be. If you sign up for buoyancy pre-marital sessions, please understand, any type of services that buoyancy offer, we are going to talk about Jesus Christ. We are going to talk about salvation, because it makes absolutely no sense for you to go into the covenant, especially if you are professing yourself as a Christian. It makes absolutely no sense for you to walk into the marital covenant with the misunderstanding of what it means to be saved or what it means to be equally yoked. So many marriages are tore up, broken, falling apart, not working, at its end, because people do not understand salvation. People have gone into the marital covenant without being equally yoked. People have just gotten married just thinking, oh, this is just something to do. I done been with you for a long time. We might as well do it. We got all these kids. We've been living together for all these years. Might as well settle down. No, 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 and no. That is not what marriage is. When you sign up for the marital covenant, you are signing up for a battle. You are signing up for your mission. You are ultimately signing up and saying, okay, God, here I am. How can you use me? Okay, God, here I am. What it is that, how can I be a service to the kingdom? This is what you're signing up for. You're not just signing up. And I know it's so many things online and so many people, oh, if you have a husband, the husband's supposed to do these 5 things. And if you have a mission for your life, you are saying, God, we are taking this mantle of marriage and we're ready to take whatever the assignment is that you will have us to display here on earth as we be a representation of you. That is what marriage is about. Marriage represents God and his church. God as Jesus as the husband, and then the church, the people, as the bride. Nothing else matters, people, if you don't get that part. If you don't get the wedding dress doesn't matter, the ceremony doesn't matter, the invites, the preparation for what you're going to eat on the menu, none of that stuff matters. None of that stuff matters. And that is one of the points that I want to get across to couples before making a decision to get married. That is one of the points I want to get for the ones who have already made a decision to get married. You're saying, okay, well, we need some counseling. We have a miscommunication, the cheating in the marriage, things just not working out. This person acting like this person acting like this. One of the questions I always send as a pre-screener when anyone reach out to me, one of the questions I always ask, are you a believer of Christ? Are you a believer of Christ? Because if you're not a believer of Christ, not that it's my goal to turn or twist you, but I just want you to know when you're coming to me as a coach, I am going to speak Jesus Christ to you. I am going to talk to you about the Lord, our Savior. I am going to tell you about Jesus and tell you that you're not going to be able to do marriage without him. So I may or may not be the right coach for you. You might want to go down to one of them other coaches who maybe not so much into it. Oh, it don't take all that. Oh, you don't need God. Oh, we don't need to just be just on the same page as Christians. And listen, being a Christian and going into the marital covenant as saved whole Christians is a beginning of a great start. That's one of the most healthiest ways that you can enter into your marital covenant. Come on, Holy Spirit. That is one of the most healthiest ways to enter into your marital covenant. By being saved, by having an understanding of what and who God is, and by knowing what your mission is. This is why I drive vision. Vision is so big to me. I ask couples all the time, what is it that you're trying to do? What did you want your marriage to look like? What are your plans? What has God been talking to you? And this is, I go back to the pre-wife sessions that I do. This is one of the things I do with my wives. I don't have you just say, okay, we're finna just sit here and talk about marriage stuff. No. What is your vision? What have God been speaking to you? What have God said to you? What is it that you're supposed to be doing? Because it's in your assignment that you're supposed to be doing that your husband is going to find you. It's in your assignment. It's on your path, on your journey of doing what God has told you to do. That's where your husband is going to find you. In my his wife sessions, I put together a booklet for wives, and that was one of the things I wrote in my booklet. I explained to the people, look, when I met my husband, I was ready to be found by him. I was ready to be found by him. I walked into the building. I was presentable. I was ready. I was on my journey. Even though I was going through some rough patches, I was presented. I was ready. I was ready to be found by my husband. And that is so, so important as you prepare for marriage covenant. Listen, if you don't have salvation going into the marital covenant, you're wasting your time getting married. I'm telling you, if you do not have Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, you're wasting your time with marriage. Marriage is designed by God himself. You cannot do marriage without him. You cannot do marriage without God. So if you're trying to go into a marital covenant, or if you go to church and you save and you got a relationship with God, but your spouse doesn't, or they're a little bit saved, or they ain't all the way saved, or they're not sure, let me tell you something. You're setting yourself up. You're setting yourself up for your marital covenant to go downward. You're setting yourself up. And so I just felt in my spirit to share that. I don't know if I'm getting these prank emails or, people emailing me just trying to see what I'm about or what I do or whatever. But that is one thing I wanted to point out. If you sign up with Coach T and you want Coach T to do your premarital sessions, we're going to talk about Jesus Christ, because anything else outside of that is a waste of time. If we do not discuss Jesus Christ and you being saved as a person going into the marital covenant, you're wasting your time getting married, people. You're wasting your time. God created the marriage covenant. The marriage covenant represents him. You are a representation of God and his people here on earth, of God and his bride. God and his bride here on earth. If you're not representing God in your marital covenant, you're wasting your time by signing up to be married. Point blank, period. All right. I may see you guys a little bit later. I had to get that part out. Salvation is your portion. If you are interested in any type of buoyancy sessions, you may sign up at marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. I also do, like I said, I do some life coaching for ones who just want a better understanding of Christ, just want to know their walk as a